Hey, everybody, welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion. This is the big pre-reunion final podcast, Ed, before the big event this weekend.
Yep.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. Ed, good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you, too.
You were a very sensing or a calming source for me today when you rolled down, Ed. You
Really?
know, I've been running around, bouncing around for the big show. The hats came in today.
Yeah, I was looking at them. They look cool.
Let's see your hat. I like your hat better. Yeah, the Evil Ed edition.
I like that blue.
Yeah. So the apparel came in. We got the official apparel. We went clean. We went Dodger blue. The Dodgers are going deep into the playoffs. Last year we got too crazy with the decals and the logos. Like a NHRA shirt. This year we went back clean, Ed. A little mention to Pioneer, our primary sponsor. On the back, look, we got the little silhouette. And that's
all you need, really.
And we got the official Evil Ed apparel. All this and a bag of gum available at Joe's Minibike Reunion. It's coming up this October the 13th here at CV Park in beautiful La Crescenta. And, Ed, I would be remiss to not give a special shout out to some of the folks who stepped up and pre-registered.
Yeah, I didn't.
You did.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering why you asked.
Well, that's why I asked you, because now you're going to originally have 3 bikes, but one of them, what happened? What happened with... A funny thing happened.
Well, one of the diaphragms in one of the Tillotsons blew up, so I'm not going to take it. I got the carburetor off, and this guy back east in Mississippi, Bob Muha, he's going to rebuild it for me.
So I asked you, because I remember those diaphragms in the carburetors of those Clintons. Fucking nightmares.
Yeah.
And there's so many different and other ways, obviously, because the days of diaphragm carburetors.
Set the pop-off pressure. I don't have a gauge for that.
No one had a gauge when you're a pop-off pressure gauge. So we get the nail polish, the enamel nail polish, and take off those little diaphragms and try to put like a coat or two.
Coat on it.
And you'd get 2 rides out of that, and that would be.
You got a ride out of it.
So you were telling the story about working at Dino's, test riding your bikes, getting them ready for the show, right?
Yeah.
And what happened?
I had to push it back about a half mile back to the shop because it took a dump.
But there was a crowd of guys there that you didn't
yeah, down the street there's these guys that on the weekend with sport bikes. They go in the parking lot where they work and they just, pop wheelies, do burnouts, do tricks.
Yeah, freestyle they call it, I think.
So I was going to take the little 2-stroke and go in the driveway and just drive by them, not even look at them, just and go out the other end, and just see what their reaction was.
That was the plan, right?
That was the plan, yeah.
And what was the reality?
Didn't happen, really. Then I went back last week with my other 2-stroke, and there was like 4 guys there instead of like 40.
Well,
so I blew past them just like.
Yeah, but it's a little
Didn't
different.
Even look at them, just went into the
there's
first
4 guys, like 2 of them,
the back driveway.
If there's 4, 2 of them aren't even looking at you. But you know what? You'll be center stage at the big upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion.
Okay, good.
Now you're going to be a little bit more active this year. You're kind of you were in the weeds last year, not literally in the weeds. You were in the weeds, kind of like hanging low. You had your little lawn chair around the perimeter. You were hanging next to the souvenir tent. I think. I
didn't want to act too happy,
Well, yeah, but I think people want to see more of you.
Well, I'll try and get around now. You got a bunch of people coming that are on Facebook that are friends with me.
Many of them. In
Arizona
fact,
guys.
Yep, they're coming out. We've got a bunch of guys from Arizona. We've got Kyle coming in from Nebraska, I think. We've got a lot of folks that have pre-registered, and I wanted to say thank you to them. One of the first participants to enter online, in fact, come and see me. His name is Ivan Schreiber. He's got a taco. He was the first to register online.
Oh, cool.
So come on over and I'll give you a little special gift. Ivan, thank you for kicking it off. And then it just started to happen. Familiar names like Dane Walton. He's rolling out here with his GTS bike. A lot of GTS bikes.
Pomona or somewhere, isn't he? Somewhere out that way?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The first time I met him was through the event, but then we rode up at AV. He did a nice job on that GTS. In fact, I've got to stop right there. Rafa, you saved the day for us. We tried as we could, and we shared this on the podcast to speed up the build, the Ruttman Pioneer build. And I had some conversations with the guys, and it turns out that we're not going to make it. And we were fortunate enough that we had a couple other options. I'll tell a brief story. I reached out to Temecula Bob. As you know, Bob, in fact, maybe we can point out the cool little sign here. This will be the 7th annual Joe's Minibike Reunion. And again, it's the 13th of October right here in beautiful La Crescenta at CV Park. Each year, we induct a prominent person, or two in this case, into the Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame is really a little something that we decided to make available within the hobby to recognize folks that have had some good impact within our hobby. And there's no one that's done as much as the Mitrina brothers. In fact, those are the three brothers here. There's a silhouette within the backdrop there. And then Ray, particularly, we've inducted Ray into the Hall of Fame. And although Ray may not have the ability to just jump on a plane and join us, we will have this available, and folks could sign up and send a nice little greeting or salutation, and we'll send that off to Ray. And then we're also going to recognize, and the rumor is that he will be here, Temecula Bob Olivero. He'll be here with
Fred.
With Fred,
hopefully.
His buddy Fred. So another reason to come. So congratulations to both of those guys. And when I realized that the Ruttman giveaway bike wasn't going to happen, I reached out to Bob because I have a second bike in the works with him, and it's that smaller micro bike. And the deal was, first of all, he hadn't even gotten started on it, and he's like, that bike, I really don't build to sell because it's not meant to really be a bike that's to be ridden.
Right. It's too small.
It's just so it was a light bulb moment for me because I didn't take that into account when I just picked up the phone to call him. I just thought I had a bike available that I can just grab, and I was going to lose it in terms of keeping it for myself and give it away. But it was good news, bad news for me. The good news was that I can't give it away. And the bad news is, well, I guess there is none because I still get to keep it. So I reached out to Rafa because Rafa, when he was on the podcast, had recently gotten back from his event. And there were some circumstances that happened there, which maybe put him with a question mark over his head in terms of his ability to keep having a show there. So we wanted to work together.
Right.
And I gave him and told him that we could have a footprint for him at the show, have a big canopy, put some banners up, and they'll be there. They'll also be providing a roller giveaway.
Cool.
Yeah, so Rafa and the staff over at GTS has worked up a custom GTS roller, and he was eager to jump in, and that made me feel great. It was one less thing I had to worry about. And we're sitting around a variety of other cool products. Part of the good thing about the event, I always say it's the people. In fact, I know it is the people, and there are people that are coming from all over. And as I realized that, because I would see through pre-registration where they were coming from, and I would hear the Arizona guys and hear about the folks from SoCal, and here there's some folks from NorCal that are coming. They come almost every year, Mario and Moro and Molly and all those guys, and it's almost as far as another state when you start coming from San Francisco area, right? So
8-hour drive.
So here's the thing. So I thought we'd come up with an award. So I talked to Wade over at Coker Tire, who's been a part of the show. And it's like, let's do a long distance award. They have those cool tires, long distance, right? So we'll give away a set of white wall tires.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
It goes to the participant who registered his bike and who has traveled from the longest distance with his bike. He didn't show up and fucking buy a Coleman over at Osh and roll over, right? He traveled with his bike. So we've got a couple more awards. We're going to do your Evil Ed Award. So Ed, you're going to scope the landscape and find a cool bike.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to starting that. That'll be the first year of doing that. So we'll continue that. And maybe you can start getting sponsors for some of your shit, right? Maybe it'll be the Evil Ed. Oh, let's try it. The Evil Ed Award sponsored by Small Engine Cans.
Yeah, maybe that could work.
Yep. So I talked to Tim, and Tim's sending out some stuff. I sent out a email, a video, and maybe during the break, if I can move some of the stuff around, on that bench, I lined up all the stuff for the goodie bag. And we got some cool stuff. American Honda motorcycles will be in attendance. And I got a call from their PR company and their social media advertising folks that they're going to be on display at the show. And they're going to have the new Honda Monkey.
Oh, cool.
So that Honda Monkey is probably one of the more talked about bikes out there now. It's I went to the local Honda Glendale dealer. In fact, Darlene will be back again, and we'll be giving away. What we do is we don't want any money. We want them to be there to support the hobby, and she gives us all these giveaways. We've got a dozen helmets to give away to folks, participants, and if you're in a situation where you need a helmet, come and see me. We'll hook you up. So we've got Honda coming out, corporate and the dealer. So you'll be able to see the all-new Monkey. They'll bring the Honda Groms out. And all their power sports folks are aware of it. So who knows? Maybe we'll have an opportunity to see if they can grow their exposure with us, Ed. Not only here now when they're promoting the Monkey, but wouldn't it be cool if we could someday give away something like that?
Yeah.
You know, we'll continue to promote our rigid frame mini bikes, but also have a nice opportunity to give away something cool like that.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's a nice building block with them. We couldn't do anything without our friends from Pioneer. And I'd like to thank those guys for their generous support. This is one of their new all-in-one receivers. It's the AVH W440NEX. We have one of those that'll go to one lucky participant. And then he also sent me, by the way, a box of, I don't know, like 6 or 8 additional giveaways. This is the new MVH S31 2BT drop-in head unit. So we'll be giving away not only a handful of these to the participants, and participants are the folks that register to bring their bikes, but we'll also give away one to spectators.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So the event's free for spectators. All of our stuff here, Ed, are tried and true. The brake cleans
Brake
here.
clean.
Your favorite.
Yep. Knock her loose.
Knock her loose. And then we got the goodie bag. So go through some of this stuff here.
What do we got here?
What do we got there?
We got some Mother's Waterless Wash and Wax.
That'd be perfect for you. Like, right? You do your whole truck with that.
Yeah. Got some GTS Hobby decals.
Yep. Now, you remember Ira was with us, right? From SEMA?
Uh-huh.
So from SEMA Ignited, and the SEMA show is October the 30th through November the 2nd. November the 2nd is a Friday. It's the last day of the show. That's when SEMA Ignited is. And everybody who comes to Joe's Minibike Reunion as a participant gets a free public admission. It's like $20 each. So,
Oh,
yep,
cool.
there's one in there. Yeah.
Then we got, what do we got? We got Coulter Tire
Well, some decals, right?
decal.
What about you, Ed?
We got a little dinky badge.
Oh, we got the big one too.
We got a little dinky badge.
Yeah, and then you got the button for the
We
podcast.
have the button. And what is this, earplugs?
Earplugs. Remember you said you were going to start wearing those during the podcast?
And we got some earplugs from CRC.
$5 off at the store, right? So now the T-shirt goes from 20 to 15.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
Hey, well, hey, he's a
Sorry
producer.
about that.
You know,
Oh, what's this? Honda badge?
Honda Rebel patch.
Born Rebel.
And here's something that I thought we had to
Born
give.
Rebel.
A mini bike bungee cord.
That's a mini bike bungee cord.
All right, you may need 2 of them.
And we got some
That's what we got.
more stickers. What is
Decals.
it? Go Power Sports.
An Evil Ed decal.
Oh,
right.
Evil Ed decal.
All right, so this is in the goodie bag. In addition to all this, we talked to the folks from F&B. We talked to the guys from Small Engine Cams. Who knows what we'll have? Usually when that show starts, we have more stuff. Typically, I bring back a lot of the giveaway stuff. And don't forget the GTS roller on top of all of this. So it's the upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion. This is the final day for pre-registration. If you want to register, go to joesminibikereunion.com. You know, I'm starting to enjoy the event a little bit more, Ed, because I'm delegating. I'm not trying to do everything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that was taking a lot of the time was the announcing, because I was trying to enjoy the time with our friends, see the bikes.
Yeah, running around doing everything.
Who needs 20s at the change up at front? Got an issue with the restroom, whatever it is, you know.
The issue with the
I was telling the story about the woman who came up to me. Was it a couple years ago? Somebody's tapping me on the shoulder, so I'm thinking it's a friend. I turn around and it's a woman that I don't know, and she's got a cigarette butt in her hand. She sticks it in my face. And, excuse me, are you Joe? It's like, yeah. How you doing? One of your people threw this on the ground. So she gives me this. That was like a Terrigen 100 from like the 70s. So I give it to her. I say, "Oh, thank you very much," and put it in my pocket. You get a little bit of that. We tried not to open up the park area until it was showtime. Yet there were a bunch of locals who walked through that park.
Right.
Man, we asked them to not go through there. You would have thought that we took away their Geritol. So,
they were walking the dogs last year, weren't they?
Yeah. And it's
right
like
through there.
So now it's like, let the security deal with it. If there's a problem with the judging, hey, I didn't get judged. It's like, I don't stop everything I'm doing now and go judge their, it's like, go talk to the judges. So I'm delegating. And one of the biggest coups that I had was a couple of years ago, having had the chance to work with a guy who's going to be in studio with us in a second. His name is Clarence Barnes. And Clarence and I worked with a company called Revin TV. We did a couple gigs with Roadkill, and we did some gigs with Source Interlink, which is now owned by Discovery. In fact, it's a Discovery homecoming. We'll have David Freiberger from Roadkill joining us shortly as well. And I had a chance to work with Clarence, and Clarence and I worked in kind of similar circles. Hot Rod Power Tour, we worked with the same car circuits, a lot of similar common denominators in our career, but I was usually doing it a little bit earlier, or by the time he had come over, I was doing something different. And I'm lucky that we had a chance to cross paths, and he's done a ton of things, and we're going to have him join us. Clarence, why don't you come roll out here if you get a chance? He's in there now with Linda.
Playing with the dog.
Yeah. I thought he was actually listening to us. So Clarence is going to join us. Ed, why don't you go? Are you plugged up? You're not plugged in. Are you? Go there and knock on the door. So Clarence is going to join us. Clarence he does so much in the industry. This is just a little bit of a roll call of what he's done. He's a voice actor, and you can tell as soon as he starts to talking, right? He's been a host and through the commercial talent agency. He's been executive producer of syndicated properties at Big Boys Neighborhood, which is probably one of the bigger. You're more familiar with that, right? Big Boys hip hop, big out here for 20, 30 years. He's an on-air talent. You can sit down now, Ed.
He's not going to be wired up.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll figure that out. As I talked about, he hosted the Hot Rod Power Tour, which I was a part of back in the day. They were trying to get your attention in there, Clarence. You guys watching fucking Days of Our Lives over there or what?
No, actually, I'm watching the stream. I'm doing all different types of stuff. I'm thinking, wow, yeah, that's right. We were talking about Freiberger. He's on the road. I just got done with Engine Masters, and it's just been nonstop grind. And we were just talking about that in the green room over there, and all of a sudden I hear bang, bang. We're knocking on the window.
People that was breaking into the house?
It's time, yeah.
Well, good. I was just going over your list of accolades. And
thank you.
I know it. It's like, damn.
Somebody, wow.
Well, I got this from your mom. So
yeah, I know.
I had to get it edited. No, I last left off at the, and I had pre-lubed your visit. How are you doing, Eddie? There you go. There you go.
Testing.
See?
Testing, we're back.
Thanks for the, there's an additional $5 in that for you. We're going to classify that as security duty.
Okay.
How many times did you pound? Did you pound more than once on the window?
No, it was twice, I think.
Oh shit! If you pounded 3 times, you would have got an extra 50. All right, so a couple knocks in. I was going over your list of accolades. I was at the Hot Rod Power Tour, on air at KISS FM 102.7. God, I remember when I first moved here. Fucking Rick Dees was like.
I never listened to KISS.
Well, I don't know. I was 82 through the 90s, and then some. At some point, I tuned off, but during that time,
KMET and KLOS and
former on-air talent at Dial Global Networks, former radio host at CBS, worked at the Rod Shop, former Northeast Regional Promo Director at. I've always had a tough time. Is it Chrysalis?
Chrysalis, yeah. I worked at Chrysalis, Arista, MCA, Electra. A bunch of radio stations, Westwood One.
I see them all here.
And I still, I don't know how it all happened. It just sort of did.
And Clarence, this is just more of the kind of like the on-air radio stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't take into account the automotive gigs that you've had. The Power Tour, Roadkill. Is that another gig you got?
No. I've got one of these things I got. We did a thing with Apple, and so I have one of these watches that makes noise. It like rings and does.
What's that telling you to do right now?
I'm turning it off. That's what it's telling me. It has a phone in it. It's weird, but I don't know. That's kind of one of the lame things. It was just a free watch. It's cool, but it does weird stuff.
So you do a ton of things automotive as well. We did Roadkill Nights, which is when they closed down Woodward.
Yeah, we did a couple of Roadkill Nights. We did Power Tour. We do Mopar Nationals. We do, let me see. I just came back from the Engine Masters, which was a big deal. It goes on and on and on. But, we sort of run in those circles where everybody kind of comes full circle, with motorsports and how it interacts with different stuff. And the coolest thing that I was talking to the guys at Engine Masters last week in Mentor, Ohio. They had a big thing at JE, which is part of Wiseco.
Wiseco, sure.
So one side's Wiseco, one side's JE, and of course Wiseco makes all the power sports pistons and things like that.
Certainly.
Huge, hundreds of thousands of square feet. And we were talking about mini bikes, because Wiseco does a lot of smaller power sports, all the Polaris, all those pistons. And I said, well, I'm doing this thing, which is a real big deal in LA, which is Joe's Minibike Reunion. And I swear to God, the guy goes, Joe, I know Joe. Joe and I worked at Peterson. Joe and I get the whole Joe thing. But everybody knows you.
Yeah,
everybody in the whole business knows you.
And honestly, you fall into that same category. It's like bring up Clarence, or when you walk into the pick an event, pick a hotel lobby, pick a car show. You walk in, and it's nice to have that. But the guy who leads that pack, in terms of putting off that beacon, especially nowadays, is our next guest, which is Dave Freiberger.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned Engine Masters, and we mentioned the Power Tour and Drag Week. That seems like one of those sonar detectors. What was that Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea? When you hear the little...
the pinging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody, there's some sort of alert, and it just keeps all your email and everything. I think if people are watching.
No, there's an earthquake in the Philippines. I think that's probably what it is. So what I'm gonna do is, Clarence, I'm gonna let you, because you're a professional host.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna let you join me and having a little talk with Dave. Because he's on a tight schedule. You and I were trying to figure out where the hell he was.
Well, he's out somewhere with Steve Dulcich.
Yes, I was. I'm going to dial him up now.
That is the team. And Brad Alicia, who is their director, who follows them around. I don't think Brad's been home for a month.
Well, between all of them, they all travel. But
yeah.
David was actually in this garage where we're shooting the podcast now. We goody?
Go ahead.
We were...
You're calling David?
Yeah. If we can. We shot in this garage a video that's on YouTube now.
Right.
And it ran on Hot Rod Unlimited, which was another network, kind of in the spirit of the inventory that they have there. With all the other shows. Hot Rod Unlimited was one of the precursors to Roadkill.
Right.
Or kind of, it covered a lot that eventually made its way into many of the properties there. And David shot a little something called Minibike Mayhem. And in typical Freiberger fashion, he comes down, two guys. They turn on the camera, boom.
And start making it happen. Yeah, that's David. He can tape anywhere.
He had the history of the mini bike, the whole Steen's Taco. He had the whole lead-in where he pulled the ripcord on the bike and started off on this whole... It's a video that I still look at now, and sometimes I have to pinch myself because it's so well done, all the stuff he's behind. And it's up to 5 million views. We're going to play that at the break for some of the folks who may not have had a chance to see it. That's a little bit of an idea of what David does on the side, in addition to doing so many other things. I think his title is Senior VP
of Creative Things. Basically, he's the head guy at
Content.
the Enthusiast Network for content.
Yeah.
For all the brands, he kind of gives it his...
blessing.
Ahead.
Yeah,
his blessing, literally, because he's kind of a no BS guy as far as if he likes something, he's really passionate about it, and he's really into the detail. And he's one of the only guys. Everybody always says, "Oh yeah, TV, these reality shows, people throwing wrenches and all this kind of stuff." I've worked with these guys. I've seen them.
It's real.
It's total real.
I used to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. What am I saying? Yeah.
So the reality of it is that it's the only reality show that was real.
Yeah.
Now, granted,
100%.
there was a few times where things could have happened a different way, and because it is somewhat of an entertainment vehicle as well, you roll with it. But for the most part, no built-in drama, no nothing. What a great mix they have. We're going to get them on the line, and what we all share in common is not only working together, we've all been to Joe's Minibike Reunion, and it's actually pretty cool that we've got him on.
I want to say he's probably taping stuff with Steve today.
Yeah, he was. Let's see if we can get him on here.
Steve Dulcich.
Smoking Joe.
Hey, everybody. It's a pleasure to have on.
Hello?
Hello, Dave. Can you hear us?
You got him on mute. There we go.
Hi, Dave. Can you hear us?
No, I got you.
Oh, great. Folks, it's a pleasure to have him on. David Freiberger from Roadkill. Dave, we're here with Clarence Barnes and Evil Ed. How you doing tonight, Dave?
I'm great. How about you guys? I didn't expect Clarence. That's great.
I snuck in. There was free coffee. You know?
Oh, all right. That explains it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got him tethered down. He's had like about 6 Starbucks, Dave.
Great.
Hey, I know that you've been busy. I was following a little Roadkill online today, and it looks like you were hanging out with Dulcich again. Where are you?
I'm on my way home right now from Bakersfield. I was wrenching on a project vehicle that we have to work on next week. I was doing some off-camera work, and so I pulled over to talk to you about JMBR and so on.
Thanks for the patience. You know, these high-class podcasts that we do out of garages, sometimes they have a little bit of a delay when they start. Plus, I got going with Clarence, and we got a little bit past our time that we were going to call you, so thanks for making some time. Dave.
Oh, that's right.
What do you got, about another couple hours before you're back in L.A.?
That's about right, yeah.
Are you solo?
Yep.
Well, good. Have a good trip back, and this weekend you'll be heading into L.A. Hopefully it'll be littered with mini bikes because we're getting ready to put on the 7th annual, believe it or not, Joe's Minibike Reunion here at CV Park. And you've done so much to help promote this category, and you've actually made your way out to the mini bike event a couple years ago. If I could...
I've been a couple of times. I wish I could go this time. I'm going to be in Arizona shooting, but I love the whole mini bike program, and whatever I can do to, like, keep it going, I'm down.
Well, the two elements that I wanted to bring up included the Mini Bike Mayhem video that you did with Hot Rod Unlimited, and then the inclusion of the CT70 on, I think it was nitrous, muscle trucks, and mini bikes. It was a Roadkill episode, I think 18 when I last checked. Those two video efforts alone helped us immensely. Thanks. Now you get feedback of all different sorts. What kind of feedback did you get from those videos?
You know, people still bring up me riding your CT70 in that episode when I did when I tried to do a burnout and wheelied the thing into the gas pump. That's like one of those moments people won't forget.
That was that bike, which Mark Dewey now has.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that bike was wasn't as fast as the black. I think that. Finnegan had a 77 black Honda that was a little bit quicker, but you were a little bit cooler because that was a little bit more retro, the gold one that you had.
Yeah, it was totally cool. I borrowed that one from you. The company actually bought that black one, and we had it for a long time, and now our creative director has it and actually rides it all the time, so that's cool.
Yeah, the good thing about those bikes is they weren't that fast, but they started all the time when they were bulletproof. When Dave, the mini bike show now, maybe from the last time that you were there, it's really turned out to be littered with drag bikes, and
cool.
Yeah, we've got a dyno that's been another big attraction for the participants, and what did we do at 32 horsepower? I think last
32, yeah.
So we talk in the community, Dave, of this eventual quest to tackle 100 miles an hour on a mini bike. And then the question becomes, what is a mini bike? Because really what's happening is that the engineering and the craftsmanship and really the talent that we see, the Jake Moes, there's a young guy, David, called Isaiah Gibbs. Gee, I'm looking at a guy across from me, Evil Ed, Temecula Bob. Dave, these guys are building bikes that when you look at them, you get a hint of a Troy Trepagna. You get a little bit of a hint of some of these iconic builders that you see daily. But it's happening in our mini bike scene. And then the question becomes, what is a mini bike? Because they're starting to look more and more like professional drag bikes. You've seen enough of these things. In your mind, what is a mini bike? How's a mini bike different in your view than somebody building quote unquote a custom drag bike? Have you ever thought about that?
Well, you're making me think about it, and I think it's definitely not one of those pocket bikes that looks like a little sport bike or super bike. It's got to be, your basic, what are they, 3/4 inch tube frame or 1/2 inch tube frame? I don't know what's the
7/8
frame on it.
7/8.
7/8, okay, yeah. And what if you limited them to a flathead, a good old Briggs & Stratton or something like that? Does that play in?
Yeah, when those of us are a little bit older, our view of the bikes is pretty simple. They're rigid frames,
lawnmower engines,
and and maybe when you got a little carried away, you put in a little West Bend or a little Power Beam. But for the most part, that was it. Once you started to get into live axles and disc brakes and all these electric starts, So, you and I are on the same page there. The true mini bike are not the CT70s that we had some fun with, but maybe more reflective of that taco bike that we built for Hot Rod. That would probably be more the modern day.
I think you said the word. They've got to be rigid. I think the mini bike might have a spring or fork in it, but the back of it's got to be hard.
Yeah, the back being hard. Yeah, we're in agreement there. So we've been working on somewhat of Clarence and I were talking about a similar schedule, but then I went off in a little bit of a different path, and Clarence just got back from Engine Masters. You travel, you're always going somewhere. How was the Woodward event in Pontiac? You guys went back there and raged again?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's that deal where we shut down Woodward Avenue and do drag racing. You were there last year, but we just did it last month, or August we did it, and same amount of people, like 40,000 head count, just crazy town. Nitro, funny car, and dragster burnouts. It was great, but no mini bike.
Yeah, my buddy Calvin Carisi had asked me, I've met, again, I have to thank you, I've met so many nice and cool folks from the Detroit area, all due to the opportunity that I had when I was working with Roadkill when we went to Detroit. I met a handful of guys, and it's really nice because a lot of those guys are even talking about coming out. There's a gentleman that we're inducting into the Hall of Fame this year, Dave. His name is Ray Matrina. He's one of the 3 founding founders of Little Indian Mini Bikes, the iconic old mini bike. And him, along with Temecula Bob, Robert Oliveira, they're being inducted into the Hall of Fame. As I look at this, we've probably compiled about not close to 16 people into this growing Hall of Fame. And, it's really starting to take on a little bit of fanfare, and folks are submitting names and requests, and I'm enjoying kind of the beginning of the swell, Dave, that we seem to be creating here within this mini bike world. And I would be remiss to not thank you for that larger spotlight that you've helped put on that sport.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but isn't this the 7th JMBR?
7th JMBR. Ed and I were talking, and I think it truly takes like 10 years to get to a point where you can have somewhat of a legitimate gauge on expected crowd size and, what you're doing right or what you're doing wrong. So we got a few more years ahead of us. But if we only had an opportunity to put these things in motion, and there had been some talks about different ways that we can do that, but if we were able to actually have an event which was more than an exaggerated show and shine, we could probably get quite a few more people here, Dave, but I think with a static event, that will largely be a kind of a West Coast event, kind of a laid-back deal. But what is a feather in our cap is we will be one of the first public viewing opportunities that American Honda Motors will be displaying the new Honda Monkey bike.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they'll be on display, and you got to get your hands on one of those. I'm sure in fact, I got a call from a guy, Charlie, from their PR department, who had noticed your post online about the event. And he's a big Roadkill and David Freiberger fan. So, yeah, they're coming out. Honda will be there. And that's where you kind of look at things as a gauge and say, you know what? We're starting to make a little impact when we're starting to get the attention of folks like Honda.
those monkey bikes are neat. You know, my wife is a copy editor, and she's currently working on, I guess, dealer brochures for those things, which is how I found out about them and started doing some research on them. They're cool.
You know, that it's an evolution of that Z50. And this this bike's got a little bit of a different power plant. Instead of 50 cc's, it's that 125 from the Grom. It's got dual shocks, which is nice. It's got a seat that you can literally sit on. The seat is like a couch, which has been a big problem with like their Honda Grom. The seats are terrible. And then because it's lightweight, it's a little bit quicker. But all that aside, it just got that retro cool. It's got the chrome fenders. It's got the cool headlight system. It's a nice bike. So folks that'll be attending the show will have a chance to check it out. Dave, clear up a couple things for us now. Jumping over to Roadkill, I know that your tenure there goes on closer to over 30 years, on my end. And I remember your role as editors with all the truck books and all the car crafts, hot rods. Now you're working in a different capacity. People probably are more aware of your your role with Roadkill, but also Engine Masters and Drag Week. How do you do it? How are you maintaining such a busy schedule and still, when you're not working and traveling, going into that office for 10 hours a day? How do you do it, man?
Well, it's interesting, like you were touching on, old guys know me for Hot Rod Magazine and Rod and Custom, and young kids know me for all the TV stuff that we've done and online web video stuff. And currently, I'm really doing nothing but the shows for Motor Trend Group. I do nothing but video. And it's different because in the old days, I would go out, be on the road, have to take my own pictures, gather my own information, write my own story. The cool thing for me about video is I show up, I do my shtick, somebody else deals with all of the footage, and somebody else edits it, and I'm on to the next thing. So it's a lot more like just living in the moment. It's actually less stressful, even though it is more days on the road. I'm gone virtually always.
Dave, who are some of those folks that are riding along with you, making sure that all that editing is getting done and all the stuff that we ultimately see that you create? Who's filling in all those details and kind of helping you along the way? Who are some of those folks that maybe don't get that limelight?
Well, we have a small crew that travels with us on the road, and those guys are just awesome. They've helped us out a bunch. Brad Alicia is our director. Chris Reed is our A or B camera. We've got another guy, Alex Scola, who's sometimes with us. And for the first time in forever, we have a production assistant who wrenches and helps us run for parts and stuff like that. And
cool
so that's
job.
super handy. That guy's Wiley Stevens, and he is a friend of the guy actually who owns that black CT70 that was in the show. That's Levi Rugg, who's back at home and helps manage production and stuff. And our longtime director, Dustin Gould, is our showrunner, and he stays at the office and manages all the footage and all the editors and that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, a couple of familiar names there, and a shout out to all of them because the work still is amazing. Watching an episode of Roadkill, for those of you who, for whatever odd reasons, may not have had the chance to check out an episode of Roadkill who are listening now, do yourself a favor, find a comfy chair and do a little binge watching. Clarence, I'm looking at your eyes as we talk about Roadkill.
Well, we were talking about this before Dave came on, and I'm glad Dave pointed that out, and he really put it in a nutshell. It's moment to moment. It's really in the moment. A lot of people think about reality or whatever as a setup. I've seen these guys go. The first time I ever really saw what was going on is when they showed up on the Power Tour one time, and there was, he was out with Finnegan, and there was a stuffed deer on top of the car. They did the whole Power Tour with the deer. I mean, they were always just thinking, this will be cool, this will be fun. As an extension, the social media aspect of Roadkill and David and all his crew, the other day he posted up the Last Crusher Camaro t-shirt. He autographed it, and as he's talking on the video, I'm looking at my Instagram going, I know where that is. It was up at Willow Springs. Right as you take a right, you should go in. And I'm literally, my friends go, what's wrong? I said, I'm going to go. I know where this is. I can be up in Willow in like an hour and grab it, and it'll be a lot of fun. 10 minutes later, somebody else had posted it up going, I got it. I'm like, great. But
I hide t-shirts all over the place and tell people to go find them.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, they usually go in less than half an hour. It's pretty surprising how fans are everywhere.
And one of the things we were chatting about earlier too, Dave, and I know you've got to get back on the road, is that this the short time that I had to maybe be a little bit closer to Roadkill, it really was a true reality show, unlike so much of the concocted, scripted stuff, the shtick that you see on there. And, you know, Dave, if I do recall, it wasn't as if you were always looking to be on mic. You know, I know from experience that early on you were kind of reluctant to see you up there so naturally in an environment that you're just so much a part of. I beam watching you on TV, and I'm not only so happy for you because you do a great job. Let's face it, you could be my friend and be on TV and really suck, and I'd have to deal with that. I don't have to do that with you. I get to. I get.
That's just Clarence, right?
Oh my God! Well, that was like the day when I get a call from Dulcich. I'm running through Detroit Airport, going somewhere, and I look down at Steve Dulcich on my cell phone. I pick it up. It goes, "Hey, Clarence, Steve Dulcich." And I swear to God, this happened. He goes, "Hey, man, so I'm doing this show with Freiberger." And he goes, "You know, David says I kind of suck, but he says lately I don't suck as much." I swear to God, that's what he said. I was like, "You don't suck." He has no idea he's on TV. He's so all in. It's awesome, you know?
Well, yeah, Dulcich is 100% the guy who you see on camera. He's just a total dude, and I think that's the key for me and Finnegan, too, is that we're really just doing what we do. We're not faking anything. If we actually get in a fight, it's legit. It's not because it's been scripted, and that really doesn't happen because we just have fun doing our thing, and we don't fake anything.
And one of the wise guys, you know, he brought up earlier, Brad Alicia, who's a friend and a hell of a director, he's been taking snaps every once in a while, some real funny sort of outtake-looking pictures of the guys working, which is a lot of fun. So on Instagram, if you look for Brad Alicia, he's got some funny takes on what's going on day to day on Roadkill. It's a lot of fun.
I'll follow up with you and post some of that on the site. Look, guys, if you'd like, you know, Roadkill, the magazine, is no longer, or it's in a little bit of a sabbatical, we'll say right now. But I've got a copy, Dave, of the Rotson issue. It was issue number 9. And this is just an example of Roadkill the magazine, and they're collector's items now because they're no longer printing Roadkill the magazine. But I've got to select, I think, like a half a box of these. Dave, with your blessing, maybe I can give away a few of these copies of Roadkill as giveaways at the upcoming event. And I've got some of the summer issues that included a little bit of mini bike editorial as well. You don't mind if we give away a few issues, do you?
No, that'd be great.
Dave, look, I want to let you go, but a couple things if I can. When we were back at in Nebraska for the Rod and Custom Americruise, I would say it's probably like about closer to 20 years. I tell a funny story about the 51 Chevy where I got there a little bit early because I was working the event and I was selling the swap meet space, and a guy came in with a 51, and I thought he was just coming to set up a display to sell parts out of the back of the car. And as he laid out his parts, he put a for sale sign on the windshield, and I said, "Oh, you're selling the car?" He said, "Yeah." He wanted $2,500, and you know, I'm like on a scale of 10, I'm like a 5 to 6 on a car guy. Dave's a 10 plus, right? So I said, I may be interested in that car, and I was going to wait for Freiberger to show up and bring him down there. And Dave was coming just in typical Freiberger fashion. He was coming from one event to the other, and we were at an Americruise event, and I think he was coming back from like maybe a CarCraft event. And the day went on, and I saw him, and I lit up. It's like, "Oh, good to see you." I said, "Man, I want to bring you over to the swap meet." And he said, "Well, we just got back from the swap meet."
I see where this is going. I bet you anything. I know.
And Dave, you were with Terry McGean, right, Dave?
Yep.
And
that's right.
And I said, "Hey man, I want to show you this car I'm looking at." I said, "Did you see a black Fleet Line over there?" And then, what is your memory from that story? Do you remember that far?
Yeah, and I go, "Yeah, me and Terry just bought it."
We knew that was gonna happen. That's awesome.
I said, "No shit."
That's awesome.
So what did you have to do to that thing? Like points or something, or you had to make a stop at a parts store and get it running for the cruise or the parade, whatever the hell they call that thing?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I can't remember what we had to do to it, but we did take it on that cruise that they did all through Lincoln.
Yeah, it rode.
We just bought the thing and hopped in it and went. And, of course, the punchline to the entire story is that we hung on to it for, 2 or 3 years, and then it became yours.
Yeah, I bought it back, and they didn't gouge me. I think I paid like a small bit more than what they had paid for it originally. And the only reason why I got it is because I think you paid more money to trailer it back than you did for the car. And when they were the story, Dave, that I recall is that when the car was being unloaded at the Peterson building, the car got off the trailer and it sprung the doors. So the car sat.
Oh.
So
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, so that car sat like a dilapidated, beat to shit old hunk of metal in the garage, and it was going on 2 years. It's finally like that car was just sitting there, and I got over 60 grand in that car, Dave. If I get 20 for it, I'd be happy. But it was fun, and looks. Thanks. I'm sorry that you can't make the event. We'll keep some pictures handy for you, and I will see you at the upcoming SEMA show, which for those of you who are in the industry, you know that SEMA is the biggest automotive gathering of small business companies in the United States. It is a hot rodder's dream week. It's in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Convention Center on October the 30th through November the 2nd. And Dave, I know that you have a you got to get vanishing paint ready for the SEMA booth. Source Centerlink has a huge display there, as you know, Clarence, right? So you've got all that to do, but then you also you turn back on the TV star mode where you are the host of Battle of the Builders, which is the huge show that David hosts on site. What are some of the highlights of the upcoming Battle of the Builders before we let you go, Dave?
I don't know. I have asked the producer, man, I want to see the cars that have entered before we actually show up. And they're like, nope, that's not the rules. We got to judge them as we see them. And so I don't know exactly what it is we're going to be seeing. It's always interesting. And in addition to that Battle of Builders show, JE Pistons has a new deal, which is a Master of Motors award that I'm going to be a judge for. So I'll also be judging horsepower there at the show.
Great, and you and I chatted earlier. I'd love to have an opportunity to have a little mic time with you during the SEMA cruise, which happens on Friday, leading into SEMA Ignited. SEMA Ignited is, I guess, the public's opportunity to play at the SEMA show. There's some tickets that we have available for anybody that'd like to go. And if you're a participant at Joe's Minibike Reunion, you'll receive a ticket to SEMA Ignited, where you have a chance to see folks like David Freiberger. David, thank you again for taking some time. Drive safe. What are you driving, Dave?
Just my new Jeep JK. It's I guess not new. It's like 5-6 years old, but it's new to me.
Well, look, thank you again for the time. I appreciate all you do, David. Look forward to seeing you in another, a handful of weeks out in Las Vegas, and hope you have a great rest of the year and continued success.
Yeah, thank you very much. You too. Hope you have a great event. Send me some photos so I can share them with people, and I'll see you at the SEMA cruise.
Awesome. David Freiberger from Roadkill. Have a great night, David. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot. See ya.
See ya. He's a great guy. He's just a walking, talking, breathing car guy, like 24/7. It is something like what he said. He's on the road all the time. Like he goes from one shoot to another because they produce things in real time. Like things are really being put together. That's the wild thing that, as you've seen with Roadkill, it's really happening on real time. They're just getting it back and editing as quickly as they can.
And watching that, and when you ask him, it's probably a loaded question, how do you do it? But it is amazing because there was a time where he's doing everything he's doing that he talked about and then editing the book.
Right.
And then overlooking Hot Rod still and getting a couple calls from some of he mentors so many of the other guys.
Everybody, because he's definitely, there's a few people in the business, as you know, who are just litmus for certain things. And his skills for being able to see something, he's one of those guys who could walk up and say, how'd you learn how to do that? He goes, I just looked at it and could figure it out. And
the other thing, too, is when you're around him, whether it's talking to his peers, whether it is talking to a JE Pistons, imagine having a conversation with somebody like, Bob Sheed at McLeod about clutches, and I used to go to MPMC, which is the conference where the editors meet in these 15-minute periods with manufacturers. And kind of the way it works is that you give the manufacturer 15 minutes to talk about why his camshaft's the best thing.
That's the thing. That's why you get the editors in front of the manufacturers to get that,
and that manufacturer, he'd want 15 of those minutes, and then you got like maybe 5 minutes at the end to tell them why either your magazine or your TV show or your website or your event could help them.
Yeah.
And I would love being in those conversations and it could be about anything. And believe me, it ran the gamut. It included the clutch guy, but it included the shock guy, it included the camshaft guy, and the new turbocharger guy, and the new Mickey Thompson tire, and it went on and on and on. And it was just amazing to watch them go through their litany and their pitch. And granted, we all have our ways of presenting. Some of them did it verbally. Some of them had actual product, and they'd show you a ring and pinion, or they'd show you the lobe difference on the camshaft, or they'd have product, but he would listen like an angel, not say a word. Unlike guys like us, where we butt in, he'd listen to him, and then they'd ultimately get to that point where it's obvious that there's still a next place to go.
Yeah.
And I watched them do it with Sunoco Racing Fuel engineers at Steak and Shakes in Indianapolis. Scientists, I mean, guys with PhDs that are working there to make the lightest camshaft, and David will listen to them and listen to them, and at the very end, as we're getting the bill, he'll give them that next.
Where they can
you
take
really ought to do those for inline sixes, because the freeze plug doesn't have the vent cap, and
that's a wild thing with parts and applications and technical. That's not going to happen, or that he's definitely.
It's like now, you got to go with you got to go with XYZ. So none of it is premeditated. It's all natural and it's all right. And it's a young guy. It could be a young gun. It could be a Mike Copeland. It could be Bill Tishner from Holly. All these guys that are out there, and David, in his own way, knows just a little bit more. It was always nice to have that rub with a guy like that.
That's one thing.
Yes.
He picks up on stuff, and I go, wow, because I've been there when he's turned around and asked another question. I'm like, wow,
he listened.
He listened really well.
Yeah. And
it's kind of intimidating every once in a while, because I've done a few things with him on stage. And he's loaded for bear. He knows exactly what he's looking at. That Battle of the Builders is going to be great. Yeah. Because he's critical. He doesn't pull any punches. That's
he's there with other folks that are quote unquote on-site celebrity, or not on-site, but there's good guys that are there. Guys with big shows, Tanner Faust of the world. But even within that role of David's still the beacon. You'll notice when they ever do any of the filming that they're all kind of huddling up with him. So that's good.
He knows.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's what it's all said and done.
He's got a lot of his lineage is pretty deep.
Hey, we're going to, we talked a little bit about, and I was thankful of David. I felt like I was a little fanboy there, because it's true, because he really gave us big impressions when he did Minibike Mayhem, and that video went out, and we started to get, there's a time we get to 1,000 of anything. We would take 1,000 combined with everything we did, and to watch that thing go to like millions in weeks, and then watch it continue, and then just a little bit of hits that vignettes that he offers about the mini bike world, and it gives us that national audience. I've watched it even with our numbers if we do anything with him. So we need a lot of that. We're still such a small. These rigid frame mini bike, this clan, it's limited.
But but what's interesting in some of the feedback I got, and both of us, we see a lot of different types of motorsports events. I host the Off-Road Fest, the Sandsport Fest, so it goes from Polaris Razors, all the way to hot rods, to Mopars, to whatever. We live our lives day to day with different types of rides. The thing I liked about the reunion was that, last year it just turned up. If you guys haven't seen this is definitely something. We got to take a lot of pictures this year, because visually it was truly amazing. Now I've only seen the Honda Pocket Bike, and I forget what they call it. There's a name for it. But Honda built it, and it was released in Japan, and it folds up. It looks like a suitcase.
Motocampo.
Yes.
Yeah. The white one, the yellow one.
Yeah.
It was like 3 or 4 of them.
I touched it. I mean, it was really weird to see. And then the drag bikes, which look like, there's some stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, but the craftsmanship, it's not just, I mean, you have your traditional taco. For me, when I was a kid, I started out with the Honda. My friend's father owned a Honda dealership, so he had the little trail, MX Trail, and
the QA50 or the Z50.
The 50, and then you went
70.
up to the one that wasn't embarrassing. The 50 had those really weird yellow fenders.
Yeah, that was the QA. That was the QA.
You could drive that
little ugly.
You needed the Z50.
Ugly. That's what it was.
Yeah, you needed the Z50. The Z50 was more of a little mini bike. The Q50 was kind of like they had to get something for the younger kid.
Yeah, the younger kid. Yeah, you really didn't want it.
It was all plastic.
So ugly.
They command. There's a guy who had two of them. In fact, if all these bikes that we're talking about, the QA50s, the Z50s, the CT70s, all you got to do is go to the Facebook Marketplace. Any social media, they're just specific to Z50s, CT70s. You'll get the fever. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. We're going to finish up with Clarence Barnes. Thanks to David Freiberger from Roadkill for joining us in there. We're all getting our groove on for the upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion, which is this coming Saturday, the 13th of October here at CV Park in beautiful La Crescenta, presented by Pioneer. I'd like to thank some of our other sponsors that are also a big part of the event. Small Engine Cams, Go Power Sports. We talked about our friends over at GTS. Thanks for helping us out, George. We should hopefully have some giveaways that will continue on. If memory serves me, each event I've come back with products because we didn't have enough time to give them all away. And all we did is give product away the whole event. So it should be a good time. Mm-hmm. It's free to spectators. If you've got young kids, bring them. If you got a dog, bring them. There's a dog park. If you're a part of this Russian hacking shit, stay home. One guy said, I got a call on my Facebook number. A guy said that he had tried to register. He had tried to register on Joe's Minibike Reunion. He was asked to join a membership. And he had a tough time getting out what they were asking him to join, and I thought he was going to say like a cult. And he sourced it out. He said it was either Canada or Russia. And it's like, well, look, it sounds a little questionable. You don't have to join anything in Russia or Canada to register. But if you would like to,
oh my God!
Register online now. You can save some money, and you can save $5 extra if you go to Campbell Automotive, which is at their new location here on Foothill Boulevard. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. It's the last podcast before the big show, Ed. It's the pre-reunion 14. We'll be back in 5, and during the break, we're going to switch things around a little bit. Instead of the guess the video that you're used to seeing. We're going to show you the Minibike Mayhem video that David put together. It's like 8 minutes, and we'll be right back and close it out. We're going to check some questions, and we're going to be giving away some autographed hats. These are the new hats. We went Dodger Blue this year. We've got the dated hat.
I don't know. It looks like Yankee Blue.
Well, Yankee Blue would be darker.
You tried to pass off this Yankee Blue as Dodger Blue?
Well, the Yankees lost last night, Ed. So
oh, okay, that's Dodger Blue.
So we what are we going to do? Go for Milwaukee? It's a tough garage here tonight, folks. See you in a little bit. Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast.
Is your car stereo a little outdated? Don't sell your car. Upgrade it. Get hands-free calling with Android Auto on the new Pioneer Next.
New from the makers of legendary Brake Clean, the Shop Size Brake Clean Pro Series. The larger Pro Size can has 50% more of the brake clean you've trusted for over 47 years. Also available in 3 non-chlorinated formulas.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. It's season 3, episode what, Ed? 14. That means that maybe collectively we've done 50 shows? 40 shows?
Something like that.
We still suck. I know. Clarence, you've been behind the mic. How many years now?
A few. A few. Different places, different times.
But some of them, you're in a garage with 2 minibike guys, and then you're maybe
I've
doing
been
some
into
things.
bizarre places. I mean, gosh, when I used to be on the road, I'd stop at radio stations, and when I worked in New York, and they'd say, "Oh, why don't you do a show here? Weedsport, New York, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Brownsville, Texas." And not every big radio station's in a big, huge building. Brownsville, Texas, which, by the way, is really Mexico. Nobody told anybody. No, it's really like
San Diego.
Nobody speaks English. And I go in this radio station, and it's in like a trailer, like give me my fifth wheel, and here we go. And there was a crack underneath. You could kind of see the grass there. It was really weird. This big radio station in a trailer. So,
But you also have had that stage where it's, they don't get any brighter.
Well, you go to the Rose Bowl. When I was on KISS, we did stuff at the Rose Bowl and stuff like that. That was pretty wild.
How many people at the Rose Bowl? 100,000?
No, I think it's like 60. But
Sure
when you're
seems
out
like
there,
100.
there's like all you see is people, which is kind of weird. And most of the time, depending on what the lights are doing, you really can't see out anyhow. It's just like roadkill drags when you're out there and all the lights coming off the bleachers and stuff. If you're down on the track when they were shooting that in Detroit, sometimes you can't see up into the stands and stuff.
Yeah.
Even here, you guys have lights, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, we get...
That's fancy.
Well,
Air conditioning.
Emmanuel brings us somewhat to a professional level, but we're still a podcast. That's
It's
kind of the
hot
beauty
in
of
here,
it too.
though. In the summertime, it gets hot.
Well,
Yeah.
we've gone from sweating our ass off, like literally with fans, to now we got a jacket on.
Freaking freezing. and
Yeah.
It's not even that cold.
About 3 days ago, it started to get cold, and I enjoy that because we've moved around the event. We originally kicked off the event. It was August, and let me tell you, man, it was hot. And
This is a perfect. I have to just jump in and tell
Sure.
you, this is a perfect place to have this event too.
thanks. There's a lot of it's grassy and it's shady, and you can
And
get
you know what?
sunshine if you want. You can get shade if you want.
We're talking about you can bring your family, you can bring your dog, you can bring there's plenty of parking. You park along the road, and it's just you can make a day of it.
People get there,
Yeah.
and when they're hanging out, and the bike's judged, and it's presented, and you kind of hanging, just talking, chilling. People look around there and they see these mountains. We got a lot of inner city folks that come out, or they're
Yeah.
just a block or two off the 405, and they see a lot of traffic, man. They see a lot of buildings. They see a lot of fucking Starbucks. They don't see, they call this place the balcony of Southern California because you're literally at the foothills of the mountains. There is a pause. It is nice. That's why I like doing it here. So we tried it in August, and we literally, it was just grueling.
Fried.
It was hot.
I remember one year it was so hot that I had, it's like, Christ, the minibike show, right? And everything had to be picketed by swap meters. But I had 4 swap meters, and I had 5 petitions because they were too hot. They said I should have supplied them with some kind of a canopy. It's like, dude, I'm sorry. It was shady there. When I put you there this morning, the sun came out. It's like, what am I going to do? So you try to get better, and trying to get better was to have it when it was more, when it was cooler out. So we went from August to later in August, and that wasn't doing it. And we got to September, and that was hit and miss. And here we are in October. And it's about the best I can do because I can't do it any longer because we've got the SEMA show coming up.
It feels right. Right about now is a good time too because kids are back in school.
Yeah.
People are, their life is getting settled. And one thing I noticed last year was people coming, like literally families, builders, but all their friends. Like they're 5 friends, not just, hey, here's my one friend, here's my whole family. They're coming out with their uprights and and the guy who brought those Honda
Moto Compos.
People from all over the place. It's really turned into something. This is my 3rd year, and every year has been more of a destination where I feel like people said, oh, yeah, I'm coming to that, which is kind of cool for the community. Then you want to get to see all the people who are really building the bikes. There's a whole scene. It's kind of like when you go out in motorsports and for hot rod, you see the guy, the Troy Trapania, the Ring Brothers. You start seeing these builders, Chip Fooses.
Sure.
And we've got a league of people who I saw last year building bikes. I mean, it was really, everybody either knows that guy, says, oh, yeah, that's him. That's him. That's,
You bring up a couple of good points there because largely what I'm trying to do within this mini bike community is really just carry over things that I've learned in the automotive industry, which is the first one is that the events, unlike a magazine or maybe nowadays, magazines are kind of like a dying
Right.
media.
Well, they're a compliment. They're almost like a business card to the actual content.
But it's kind of been replaced in the big picture now with online,
Well,
because
cell phones.
everybody's media.
I get all that right here.
So-
like, you know,
So when I realized that this portion of the hobby, albeit car, motorcycle, mini bikes in this case, that it wasn't going to be the magazine, it was going to be an event. And the event now, as it starts to mature, going on our 7th year as we are, and having the ability to have some national awareness because of this podcast, because some of the exposure and the help that we get from guys like David, other social media folks sharing some of our messaging, and the sponsorship support, we're getting to that place. We got to a place where we're able to attract somebody like you. And I wanted to make that point because I said earlier before you came on, it gives me a chance to really go out there and spend some time instead of having to worry about calling attention to some of the things that obviously I felt were important, whether it was who was sponsoring the event or giving things away or upcoming schedules or updates or who lost their keys. In the midst of all of it, I couldn't do everything. And, my daughter's done it twice. It was her idea for me to start this mini bike event, and it was her idea for me to have you do the
she's
MC.
got the Joe in her, though, man.
Yeah.
You move quickly. The first time I ever met Joe, I was on stage, and this guy came up from Pioneer, jumped on stage, and I'm like, what was that? This dude's everywhere. I thought I was moving fast, but Joe's like, boop, 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 boop.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? That's a neat thing, because not everybody has that magic, and you can bring what you do, brings it all together so we can experience a hobby and have a community. It's establishing that community. Like I tell everybody, there were so many cool pictures from last year. You could go around, and if you've never been there, the layout, it's all grass, and it's all has this real cool community feel to it. But you go out there, there's all these show bikes and home built bikes and drag bikes and everything on their little square. There's like a performance square you lay down.
There they are.
Yeah,
the mats.
they're all back there.
The mats.
But you get all these mats and everything. I think the next level, and there's so many people who've got their own little boutique, a lot of part builders.
Oh,
there
yeah.
were guys who were building pipes and stuff like that. Kind of a cool place if you want a cool idea for, even if you got like either something you restored,
Sure.
or like just a taco bike or anything.
Some of them are covered up, Clarence, but behind me are some old vintage Tecumseh engines.
Well, that's
And then there's some of
exactly.
the modern Predators that we were talking
Yeah.
about that were on that hot rod bike, for example. But yeah, that was the spirit of it. Just like the car shows. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, look, even if your bike's not done, bring it. Even if you don't think your bike's it doesn't have to be the best or the brightest or have all the trick parts. Just come.
Mine aren't.
Well, and look, hey, we're in a day and age now where high glossy paint, a lot of shiny chrome. It's kind of, that's not what the deal now. It's falling in line with almost the guys that would bring the cars in on the trailers. It's
Yeah.
like, we don't berate you.
Trailer queens.
If you bring a trailer car, or if you bring a candy apple red paint job or a chrome engine bay, but those aren't really the vehicles that are getting the attention now. The ones that are like, wow, man, there's a 71 Duster like with original paint, 4-speed, like 80,000 miles with the same fucking tires. That's cool.
But I got to tell you, if we happen to see you on the 110 with your taco bike, you get extra points for that. Coming out, I'm going to it. Like Freiberger. He would do it. But, the neat thing is, though, with this event, the thing I love about it is you get in that community. You get to meet people you might not know who come from Southern California. I mean, the cool thing about being in California from someone who grew up in the East Coast, you get to see the people.
Yeah.
Who built it, like all the pipes, and the different carbs and all the aftermarket stuff for your mini bike. If I was still living back east, I'd be looking online going, oh, yeah, that's those guys out there. We're here,
Yeah.
Which is kind of a neat thing. And the community supports that, having everybody know each other. And, when you get your pictures, tagging them, Joe's
JMBR was what we used. Hashtag JMBR.
So we can
Good point.
find those. And that's, you always talk about finding your fans and finding the people you interact with. So if you use that hashtag, if you're a fan of what Joe does, tag it. And that way you can see all the pictures of all the different, you can just search. You go on Instagram and you take that hashtag. You can see everybody who was at the show.
So we share JMBR with the Jillian chick, who is the gal who trained the folks on TV that lost all that weight. Jillian.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
She's JMBR too. So in the midst of the mini bike photos, you'll see a lot of photos of
Girls going, make it happen. Boy, that girl's like, ah!
Not quite the Me Too movement, but you get a couple different photos. One of the topics that we had on the podcast, I believe it was last week, is we had Louis on from L&L Motorsports, which is the dyno. And you like that element of the show, right?
There's a real treat because I just came off the Mopar Nationals where we were doing dynos for cars. 1,500 horsepower duster. A lot of cool stuff.
Sure.
But there is a lot to it. Basically, a dyno measures torque and horsepower, and, you put it just... In this case, I was so jazzed when I saw this.
Little 6-inch wheel.
Yeah, you go in the back of this trailer and you hook it up, and the guy's a real pro. He knows. I was talking to him for a while, and he knew exactly what he was doing. But it's cool because you can, with a dyno, you change a pipe, you make a change, and you can.
He was telling me you put chain lube on.
Right.
You adjust your chain, you'll get 2 horsepower.
And but you can find your benchmark, and it's kind of cool. You can sit there and go, I got 5 horsepower in that thing. And some people, of course, I think it was 34 horsepower or something, which is just bizarre. That was, when I heard, I said, what's the number this year? He goes, 34.2. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. If you have never been on a mini bike with 34 horsepower, that's like a Formula One car. Weight to power ratio is scary as hell.
It's scary, too, because you're so low to the ground.
It's not like a bullet
It's not
bike.
like you're up in the air or got a car, with stuff around you. You're on the ground.
Real deal. But, I think you said it was free for participants. So if you're a participant and you come to the show on Saturday, you can actually, and this isn't easy to find. So you builders, you guys making stuff in your garage, some of the family teams we've seen, if you bring it down, you can go in there, and it was really cool. He'll put it up there, you get a printout, you can see it.
Plus, you know what he said too, Clarence? He said if you wanted to do that on your own, let's say you wanted to dyno your bike.
Right.
And if you found him and then were able to get with him, it'd be like $100.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, dyno's not cheap.
So
and it's a
benchmark.
Like if you get a new pipe, just a bolt-on accessory, it really gives you a baseline of what you're changing and what to expect, and then it really helps with your design, at least on a motorsports like off-road and for car stuff. Gives you a baseline of saying, okay, I got this amount of horsepower, get this,
Well, Ed brought it up. It's like what it really does is it cuts all the bullshit out.
Right.
Because all the guys talk about their horsepower.
That's
it's like,
exactly
okay, let's see.
It does.
So it's a come to Jesus. This is the last podcast leading into this weekend Joe's Minibike Reunion.
Yep.
We are aware of the fact that through Facebook we're unable to be broadcasting live like we typically do. So for those of you who will be watching this after we have a chance to post it, we apologize if you didn't have a chance to enjoy it while it was being taped live. You had a little bit of a delay. He usually works with us within 24 hours or 48 hours to get it back up. We'll try to get it up before the event if we can. If not, it's a podcast. That's how it goes. We are wanting to recognize a few of the folks that stepped up and pre-registered in advance. And some of you not only pre-registered, but registered in some cases 3 bikes and 4 bikes and 3 bikes and 2 bikes and 4 bikes and 6 bikes and
I can't wait
7
to see
bikes.
That.
And
that's the cool part.
We don't typically have a lot of bikes that ultimately attend pre-register, because I think like so many people, you don't know what your weekend is until it's your weekend.
Right.
Especially with families and stuff like that. Right about now, everybody got their first weekend off from getting kids back into this new mix, And
plus, I realize too, in the big scope of things of life, we're a mini bike show on a Saturday. Look, if you can make it. If you can't make it, a couple folks recognize the fact that one guy had to work. Well, you got to work. That's how it goes. You go next year. One guy is getting married. Well, we're not. We're not going to change the
get married. Yeah, don't miss out on that part. That's a good one.
And then a few people, that are trying to make it and need a little bit of help. If it's a part, or if it's a little assistance, or if it's a connection. If you have a part issue, or if you have a problem getting here. If you need any help, just call the number. It's 818-275-4060. I've been getting about 20 calls a day. Pre-register, save some money. If not, I'll take the extra $5. We'll give it to Scleroderma. They're going to be here. It's one of our long-standing organizations that we support. There'll be water that's available at the Scleroderma booth, available for donations only. Be generous, be nice, find out some good information. You can help save a life. We are, now I said this last year and it didn't quite work out, but Rodney's Ribs, I swear to God, I talked to his mother.
That's right. Rodney's Ribs. He showed up on Sunday, I think. It was like, we were starving. We're sitting there going, Rodney's Ribs, this is going to be so amazing. Joe's like, Rodney's Ribs, this is level 10.
Yep.
Everybody had that, like, can't wait to bite into a rib. Rodney was like, sitting at home. Here's a picture of Rodney, like X's on his eyes. Oh, is it today? Hello. Rodney.
So, well, I saw Rodney.
Rodney said, wow.
Rodney was on Foothill Boulevard a couple Wednesdays ago.
Super hungry.
And I walked up to him. I said, hey, Rodney, you don't remember me? I said, I'm Joe from Joe's Minibike Reunion. And he immediately started to apologize. I told the story in the last podcast, so I won't bore everybody. But the fact is that he wanted to come. He's coming. I talked to his mother this morning.
Yeah,
they got the insurance.
His mom probably went, Rodney, let me tell you something.
Just tell that guy you're coming and don't come again. Yeah. So everybody's looking forward to it, myself included. So I'll believe it when I see it. If not, you got the LA Donut Girl. She'll be there again. I just put extra bacon on the donuts and pray that it'll hold me over. What am I going to do? It's breakfast, lunch, all in one. We have we have a ton of stuff they're giving away. I went to Mother's, and they're buffing up the rig, getting ready to go to the concourse. They were packing.
They're 24/7.
Oh,
they're
man,
out
they're just
all the time.
They had a fleet of cars, and I got to see Dennis, and I got to see Jim, and I got to see Shane and Ken, and it was fun, man. They're a great group of guys. I had to tell them no. They give us the bags that we put the stuff in. They give us all the little samples. This is a kit. This is one of the complete Mother's kit. Yeah, with everything, all the wash, the protectants, the complete Mother's
it's got
car
the clay
care
kit, the whole deal.
You got the bucket. So we're getting a bunch of giveaways. We're hopeful that you'll be on the receiving end. We've had some folks ask about trophies and awards. We have a staff of judges. They include Evil Ed, but it's head up by Jake Moe. And he gets some help from Ian Cordova, Midgie Padilla, and this year Cliff Judd has joined us.
Who?
Cliff Judd.
How'd he get in here?
I called him up and asked him.
Oh, God.
And you're going to work side by side with him. So, Ed, you're gonna primarily focus on Bonanzas, Powell's, and any other thing you want because you're Evil Ed. Cool. If you want to take a break for a half hour, you take a break for a half hour. If you want to work for 3 hours, you work for 3 hours.
All right.
The judges are told that you will help them when you need them, or you'll help them if they need your help, and you'll be around for as long as you like. We're going to have Bing and some of the guys from the Honda Grom Lifestyle Group help us out with some of the CT70s, Z50s, Groms, the Mini Motos. And I'm going to dabble, help out. The process is going to remain the same. You'll come in, you'll check in. There'll be a special line for pre-register. So folks who pre-registered, we're going to try to make it a little bit easier for you. You'll come up to a separate line. You'll be able to pick up your wristband. You'll sign your release. You'll put a decal on your bike, and you'll get in line to have a photo, to be judged, and then you park, and you're done. There's no wondering if you've been judged, worrying about when they're going to be judged. You'll get all that done in the beginning. You can pick up a goodie bag while your bike is being judged. You maybe want to pick up a cup of coffee. Don't badger the judges. No one really is able to spend that time because we don't have enough. We'd love to hear about all the work that you did on your Ruttman Wild Goose. We'd love to hear about what you went through to find that carburetor diaphragm.
I already been through all that.
Well, and there's a time and a place. So be respectful, please, as a participant. And I realize you guys have a lot into this, and it's kind of like a coming out. Save that for the show. Let the guys judge your bike. Just release the bike to the judges. Let them have it for a few minutes. And the judging as you first come in is really the primary way that we evaluate your bike. But once your bike is positioned out at the event, the judges also go around. They may have another question. They may want to see it for a second or third time.
May want to look at something again.
You got it. So, and finally, look, come to have a good time. Come to have a good time and see Evil Ed.
And don't come out thinking that you're going to win a trophy.
hoping
That's the worst thing you could do.
or make the success of the event be based on winning a trophy, right? So trophies are gravy, and we have enough of them. And believe me, we have an Evil Ed award. I've got an award that I give out to whatever bike I feel best reflects the award. We've added a few. We've added a chopper class. Come on out. If you take home a hat, if you take home a trophy, if you take home a plaque, that's just a little extra bonus. You'll notice that we have some of these billboards. These are the original billboards, Clarence, that we had from the first shows.
First show.
Right.
And when I first did the event, I really didn't know how it was going to lay out. So in my mind, in a perfect world, I would have an area for CT70s or Z50s or vintage or ruckus. And that didn't happen because some of the ruckuses would see the sign and they'd park next to it, or if you had a Z50, and then other ones would be. So I couldn't just place a sign and expect.
Way on the other side.
Yeah, so this whole thing where you put up a sign for a designated area in a perfect world where you're placing it like an indoor show, that worked. For the outdoor show that's casual like ours, where you go where you want to and you can move if you want to.
Yeah, and then
You can leave if you wanna.
sometimes people come with different bikes, but they want to be next to each other.
Yes. So these signs kind of, as a result, they became somewhat outdated. And I've moved them around. I can't tell you how many times I've moved these up and down stairs and in and out of trucks and, and in and out of that park.
They look good.
They do look good, but they have no place at the show anymore.
Weren't they blown around one time?
Well, that was the thing too. Imagine these up, Clarence, with these little cardboard stands. They were flying around.
As they're going down the field.
No, flying around like in a tornado. You know,
They were flying.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
my God.
we staked them. There's stories to each of them. I've got a bunch of cool ones that run the gamut, and I'm going to bring them to the show, and I'm going to sell them for $20.
Oh,
And believe me, that's just that's just so I can say that ultimately there was some benefit from them.
That's
They cost me
history right
hundreds.
there.
There is. So you're going to take home a little history, and they're not priced. They're $20. Believe me, it's like you can buy a T-shirt for $20
for the garage.
Yeah. So Jake Moe has dibs on one of the Honda or US Vintage and something else, and there'll be some other folks that may want to. Oh, great. Who may have an interest in some of these billboards. I'll have them while they last. No, we don't fucking deliver. One last thing.
Love Joe. Period on that one.
The apparel. This sounds like a shtick too. Traditionally, I would order boxes. I would order 120 T-shirts, and Ed, I would bring back 80, 90, and they'd sit in the trailer. We'd give them away at the podcast or when we do our little meet and greets. It's like those days are over. So we bought a lot less shirts this year. That's just how it is. We tried so many different logo designs with logos everywhere. I went back to the nice, clean one, Clarence. We went blue. We've got our Pioneer, little silhouette on the back. We've got these. We've got some hats. There's not a ton of stuff. So if you, like, I'm not a big guy, but I'm an extra large. I tried on the large. It ain't going to work for me. So if you're an extra large or an extra, extra large, buy them early because they're going to go. And the same thing with the hats. I didn't buy a ton of hats. On the Evil Ed hats, there's like 12 of them.
that's it.
So buy them. Buy them. If you want them, go buy them. As soon as you get there, I can always order more. That's the beauty of it. Instead of buying all of them and having them, I didn't buy as many, and I can order more if we need them.
It's a cool looking shirt.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got tons of product to give away. You can still register now online for $20. You can save $5 at Campbell Automotive, which means it's $15 to register. When you register, you get a bag, you get a $5 coupon. I think I'm losing money on this shit, okay? But that's okay. So come to the show, get ready. If you need help, call. I've got folks coming from Arizona, thank you. I've got folks coming from as far as Nebraska. I don't know if we'll see Neil from Buffalo or Canada, wherever the hell he's from.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Let me know. Let us know if you are a paid registered participant coming from far away so that we can enter you into the long distance award. We're going to try to make everything smooth. Have a good time when you're there. Come by and say hi when you're there. Come say hi to Clarence Barnes. He'll be at the rocking the mic. E will be there at the Scleroderma booth. Come and say hi. Support Scleroderma. We've got some water there for you. We also have some munchies that you can probably buy as well. Some snacks, some potato chips, whatever. Come by and say hi. Boom Boom will be out there. Jerry and Gail will be out there. Everybody that that you're used to seeing will be there and some. I'm really looking forward to some of our swap meet guys. This other thing about the swap meet, get there early. If you're looking for an engine, I got a guy that I know is coming. He's got 2 10x10 booths.
That's a great place to go, as a matter of fact. Yeah, if you want parts or like...
He found his brother's 4 West Bends.
Whoa.
And he's bringing them. It's like, and look, the selfish
Where's
part
this
of me, you
guy
guys,
at?
all right? The selfish
this
part of
guy
me,
at?
the selfish part of me says, where are they? Where do you live? Then it's like, the Joe Minibike in me says, bring them to the show. You're going to make somebody's day.
Oh, I'll be there.
Bring 3 of them.
Bring them all.
I'll be there early.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good stuff in the morning. There'll be coffee. There'll be special donuts from LA Donut Girl. Thank you for coming on board, Clarence. Thank you for bringing a little bit of professionalism to this little backyard event. Thank you.
It's a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Last year was a blast.
Now you brought you bought the bride last year. I don't know that I've ever seen the dog in tow. I feel like I know the dog. The dog talks on Facebook.
The dog. Yeah.
So if you
I
want
have
to
too much time on my hands. Like I'm on tour at airports and I'm talking to this app to make my dog talk. So it's a long story.
We'll bring the dog. Bring the dog.
But Jackson will be there too, so that'll be fun.
It's Joe's Minibike Reunion. It's at the Hindenburg section of CV Park. It's 3901 Dunsmore Avenue. If you need to Google it, for Christ's sake, just get to the neighborhood. You can hear it. Okay, it's La Crescenta. All of our local friends come on out. It's free for spectators. It's brought to you by Pioneer Car Audio. I want to thank some of our other sponsors locally, Campbell Automotive. You can stop there on Foothill Boulevard and pick up a $5 off coupon. We've got sponsorship support by F&B Racing. We talked about our friends from GTS Hobbies. They'll be providing the giveaway, which is a custom roller. All you need is an engine and a chain and a clutch. You'll be good to go. Take a look at all their complete line of GTS products and frames online. They also have a cool store. In fact, it's a new store right off of the 91 freeway. Where is that, Ed? I don't know if it was Compton or it was Compton neighborhood. Cool store.
Can't tell you offhand.
They do it all
I've
there.
Never been there.
Rolf is there bending pipes, and they got a nice showroom and nice retail outlet for you. Hopefully, we'll see all those guys there. I want to thank our folks from CRC Brake Clean. We have some select brake clean product we'll be giving away as well. Our friends at Go Power Sports, our friends at Small Engine Cams.
Eric.
Yes, Eric's also Eric Adams. Or are you talking about Eric from Studs?
Eric from Studs.
So great. Eric from
Adams
Studs.
will be there.
Eric Adams signed up. So let me just thank, as we close out, some of the folks that pre-registered. Dane Walton, Randall Arnaud, Vin Morelli, Joe Petralia, who is with the group from Arizona Minibike Riders. He's bringing a few bikes, Ed.
Yeah.
Randolph Nakamura, he was the one that had some engines that he was also going to be selling at the swap meet. John Benet Ramsey with his Baja Doodlebugs coming in from Arizona. Our Honda Ruckus group is represented by Carl Santiago. Mark Lasky, who won the Joe's Minibike Reunion People's Choice Award back in 2016 with that little Flexo. He'll be back. Monica Sanfilippo with her Taco Frioli. Charles Mini Drag Bikes bringing out 7 bikes. All custom bikes. Yes, he is.
Cool.
Fredo's bringing out a few. We've got Eric Adams bringing a Gilson Island Hopper. You don't see any of those around. So he pre-registered. Craig Richardson, we just got some recent registrations from Greg Jensen, who won the People's Choice with his small Rutman that prior year.
Yeah.
He's back. We've got a good group of folks, and this is usually at just about maybe 30% of total, so we should have close to 150, maybe 175 bikes on display. Cool. Get there early to ensure your mat, because we don't have as many of those mats, and get there early to ensure yourself on the dyno. I'm running late. Thanks. We'll see you live from the event. I will be doing intermittent Facebook Lives, which I did not do last year. I'm going to try to do one at least every hour. Okay, so Facebook Lives, look for that. You'll be able to post online. And we'll come up with a way for those folks who are listening to the Facebook Live post during the show to give you guys a little something too. We'll find some giveaway products. Thank you for the year of support on the podcast. Thanks for all the mindless hype this last couple weeks leading up to the event. Shameless PT Barnum Bailey self-promotion. But it's all for a good cause. It's all for mini bikes. Get involved, buy a bike, fix up your bike. Get involved with your kids. Get out to Joe's Minibike Reunion. We'll see you Saturday. Evil Ed.
See you guys Saturday.
Talk to you soon, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Joe's Minibike Show.